I'm like, who's Jake?
Nobody saw this coming, and that's exactly why the internet froze mid-scroll. According to chaos erupting across fight forums, group chats, and late-night timelines, Jake Paul's boxing journey may have just hit a brick wall wearing Francis Ngannou's name tag. One moment, it was business as usual, trash talk and pay-per-view fantasies. And the next moment, whispers started leaking that sounded less like rumors and more like a career obituary. "It's over" is the phrase people keep repeating, not quietly, but with the same energy used when a reality show character gets written off mid-season. Allegedly, something went down behind the scenes that shook Jake so hard it made all those carefully curated fights suddenly feel like a bad investment. The internet immediately smelled blood. Because when a YouTube-turned-boxer goes silent after being linked to the most terrifying human in combat sports, that silence speaks louder than any press conference. Memes erupted, boxing purists celebrated early, and fans started arguing like this was the end of an era they never fully believed in anyway. This wasn't just a rumor. It felt like a secret slipping out before the official statement could catch up. And if this really is how Jake Paul's boxing story ends, it's not a fade-out. It's a hard cut to black. The moment this story allegedly cracked open, it didn't arrive with gloves up and a referee present. It slipped out sideways, whispered through fight forums, leaked DMs, and late-night voice notes that sounded way too serious to be jokes. According to the kind of online chatter that usually precedes a bombshell, Jake Paul's boxing run didn't stall because of numbers, contracts, or critics. It allegedly slammed into the immovable object known as Francis Ngannou. And the wild part isn't just the matchup itself, it's how quickly the tone shifted from bravado to obituary. One minute, it's who's next. The next, it's over. And that whiplash is exactly how the internet knew something wasn't right. To understand why this rumor detonated so hard, you have to rewind the Jake Paul boxing experiment. From the beginning, Jake didn't walk into the sport quietly. He parachuted in with cameras rolling, confidence on 10, and a business plan that treated boxing like a startup. Carefully selected opponents, controlled narratives, sold-out arenas, and pay-per-view numbers that made traditional promoters choke on their cigars. Love him or hate him, Jake wasn't pretending. He was building a machine. And that machine ran smoothly as long as the danger was curated. The moment Francis Ngannou's name entered the conversation, that curation allegedly fell apart. Francis Ngannou isn't just another heavyweight. He's the human embodiment of don't play boxing. He's the guy whose punches have been described like car accidents with gloves on. The kind of fighter who turns bravado into humility with one step forward. So, when whispers began circulating that Jake's camp had seriously discussed the Ngannou situation, whether as a matchup, a threat, or a reality check, the internet instantly knew this wasn't business as usual. This wasn't about selling tickets anymore. This was about survival, legacy, and knowing when to stop playing chicken with a freight train. The alleged turning point wasn't a press conference or a tweet. It was silence. Jake Paul, a man allergic to staying quiet, suddenly stopped teasing. The future? No bold callouts, no playful trolling, no big announcement coming energy. That absence set off alarms. Boxing fans don't trust silence, especially from someone who thrives on noise. The vacuum got filled immediately with speculation that sounded eerily consistent across different corners of the internet. People claimed the realization hit hard. Some risks can't be monetized. First reactions were brutal and polarizing. Boxing purists treated the rumor like Christmas morning, declaring this as proof that Jake finally met reality. Memes poured in, showing Ngannou as the final boss with Jake's character already at zero health. Others argued it wasn't fear. It was intelligence. Knowing when a matchup doesn't make sense isn't quitting, it's self-preservation. But the phrase "quits boxing" spread faster than nuance ever could, because nuance doesn't trend. Drama does. What made this controversy escalate instantly was how believable it felt. Unlike other rumors that rely on imagination, this one aligned too neatly with logic. Jake's brand was built on control, controlling opponents, pacing, and outcomes. Ngannou represents the opposite: chaos, raw power, and unpredictability. You can't spin that into a highlight reel without risking becoming one. Allegedly, once that reality was acknowledged behind closed doors, the entire roadmap started looking different. Commentary channels jumped in like sharks that smelled blood in the water. Titles screamed "career over," while thumbnails froze. Jake mid-expression next to Ngannou looking like he eats fear for breakfast. Every creator added their own sauce, but the base recipe stayed the same. This wasn't just about a fight, it was about limits. Even some supporters admitted that there's a line between confidence and delusion. And Ngannou lives way past that line. Sarcasm flooded timelines as people joked that Jake had finally Googled Francis Ngannou knockout compilations with the sound on. Others said this was the first time the boxing experiment ran into an opponent who doesn't care about clout, contracts, or cameras. He cares about damage. The jokes were ruthless, but they carried a sharp truth. Not every fighter is a storyline. Some are endings. As speculation grew, people began revisiting Jake's past interviews with a new lens. Lines about smart matchmaking and long-term plans suddenly sounded like foreshadowing. Fans dissected his business moves, asking whether boxing was always a chapter, not the book. Was this an exit disguised as strategy? Or was it genuinely the moment where ambition met reality and blinked first? The internet debated it like it was a philosophy class taught by memes. The most telling detail, according to online detectives, was the shift in language from Jake's circle. Allegedly, words like legacy, future, and bigger picture started replacing next fight and easy work. When fighters start talking like CEOs, fans assume the gloves are coming off metaphorically, at least. The narrative formed quickly. Jake wasn't running, he was recalculating. But recalculating looks a lot like quitting when the threat is that big. By the end of this phase, the story wasn't just Jake Paul quits boxing. It was Jake Paul finally found the wall. The internet didn't need confirmation to decide how it felt. To critics, this was vindication. To supporters, it was maturity. To everyone else, it was entertainment at its finest. And as the rumor continued to snowball without official denial, one thing became impossible to ignore. This wasn't fading. It was building. Because once the idea of Ngannou enters the chat, boxing conversations stop being theoretical and start feeling very, very real. The escalation hit like a delayed knockout, not flashy at first, but devastating once it landed. As soon as the rumor escaped its cage, the internet turned it into a pay-per-view event with no refunds and unlimited commentary. Memes flooded timelines like confetti at a parade nobody planned, all centered on the same idea. Jake Paul, allegedly, met the one matchup that doesn't care about contracts, hype, or YouTube thumbnails. Francis Ngannou became the internet's favorite boogeyman overnight. The final boss with no cutscenes, just consequences. Every scroll felt like a countdown clock, and the louder the jokes got, the more serious the undertone felt. Celebrity reactions didn't need to be explicit to pour fuel on the fire. Fighters started posting vague emojis that fans treated like sworn affidavits. Podcasters just asked questions that sounded suspiciously like verdicts. Boxing veterans who once dismissed Jake as a sideshow suddenly sounded philosophical, talking about risk, longevity, and knowing when to walk away. When people who usually hate you start sounding sympathetic, that's when the internet knows something shifted. The silence from Jake's camp only amplified the noise. Because in a culture built on constant engagement, absence is interpreted as admission. Pop culture comparisons went nuclear. People said this felt like the moment a reality show realizes the villain can't survive another season. Others compared it to a startup founder discovering the market doesn't care about hype once real competition shows up. The analogies kept stretching because the story demanded scale. Jake Paul wasn't just a boxer in these conversations. He was a symbol of influencer ambition, colliding with old-school brutality. Ngannou represented the part of combat sports that can't be optimized, gamified, or softened for sponsors. Public outrage split cleanly down the middle, and neither side was subtle. Boxing purists celebrated like they'd finally been proven right, declaring this the end of the circus and the return of sanity. Fans fired back, arguing that refusing a catastrophic mismatch isn't cowardice, it's intelligence. The phrase, "quits boxing," became the battleground itself, debated like a legal definition. Does stepping away from one threat equal stepping away from the sport? Online, it absolutely does, especially when the threat looks like it punches holes in reality. The meme economy thrived in the chaos. Clips of Ngannou's knockouts were stitched together with dramatic music and captions that read like warning labels. Jake's old bravado clips were replayed with ironic timing, each boast now framed as foreshadowing instead of confidence. Humor did the heavy lifting that analysis couldn't, simplifying a complex situation into a punchline everyone could understand. Laughing didn't erase the fear, it confirmed it. Jokes are how the internet admits something feels real without saying it out loud. Twists kept arriving, each one juicier than the last. Alleged insiders claimed negotiations never got past the "absolutely not" phase. Others whispered that the reality of Ngannou's power changed insurance conversations behind closed doors. A few even suggested this was never about a fight at all, but about a realization that the boxing chapter had already served its purpose. None of it was confirmed. All of it was repeated, and repetition online is a substitute for evidence. The story didn't need proof. It had momentum. What made this phase especially chaotic was how Jake's entire boxing narrative got reinterpreted in real time. Wins that once felt impressive were now labeled managed. Losses were reframed as warnings ignored. Supporters argued that every boxer picks fights strategically, while critics claim strategy ends where danger begins. The past was edited to fit the present, and the present was exaggerated to predict the future. It was narrative gymnastics at Olympic levels, and everyone was scoring it differently. Influencer boxing itself became collateral damage. People question the sustainability of the entire model when confronted with fighters who don't care about views. Commentators asked whether the genre had finally reached its ceiling. Could spectacles survive contact with true heavyweight violence? Ngannou became less of a person and more of a concept. The reminder that some doors shouldn't be opened, unless you're prepared for what's behind them. The genre looked smaller in his shadow, and that realization rattled more than just one career. Every tiny update, real or imagined, kept the fire alive. A missed tweet became a headline. A delayed announcement became confirmation bias. Fans refreshed feeds like traders watching a volatile stock, convinced the next move would reveal everything. The internet doesn't wait for official endings. It crowdsources them, and the crowd had already decided this story was bigger than a rumor. It was a turning point. By now, outrage and fascination fused into something addictive. People weren't just watching to see if Jake quit boxing. They were watching to see if the influencer era finally met its limit. The drama felt existential, not just personal. Could hype survive raw power? Could marketing outrun menace? Each question pulled viewers deeper, even those who claimed not to care. That's how you know a story has teeth when indifference disappears. This stage wasn't about resolution. It was about amplification at maximum volume. Every take sparked a counter-take. Every joke inspired a debate, and every debate circled back to the same looming presence. Francis Ngannou didn't need to say a word. His existence did the talking. And as the internet leaned closer, waiting for a definitive move, one thing felt inevitable. Whatever happened next wouldn't just affect Jake Paul. It would redraw the map for influencer boxing entirely. The aftermath didn't come with a bell or an announcement. It arrived like a realization you can't unsee once it hits. After the memes slowed and the takes ran out of new adjectives, the weight of the situation settled in. Whether Jake Paul officially said the words or not, the perception had already taken control of the narrative. And perception in boxing is a judge that never recuses itself. The question stopped being, did he quit? And became, what does this mean now that the idea exists? It's because once the internet plants a flag, it doesn't pull it back quietly. Reputations felt the tremor immediately. For Jake, every past win, loss, and business move was suddenly relabeled through a harsher lens. Supporters framed this moment as growth, a calculated pivot by someone who understands risk better than rage. Critics framed it as the inevitable end of a carefully managed run finally colliding with reality. Neutral observers noticed something else entirely. The confidence changed. Not vanished, not shattered, but altered. The bravado that once sounded playful now felt cautious by comparison. And online audiences are experts at smelling hesitation even when it's wrapped in strategy. The impact rippled outward into relationships and alliances. Promoters, fighters, and collaborators who once spoke freely became more measured, choosing words like they were stepping across broken glass. In public, enthusiasm cooled. In private, calculations likely heated up. The influencer. Boxing ecosystem depends on momentum, and momentum hates uncertainty. When the biggest name appears to step back, even hypothetically, everyone else wonders where the floor actually is. The silence wasn't empty. It was crowded with unspoken math. Francis Ngannou's shadow loomed larger than ever, not because he did anything new, but because he didn't have to. His presence reframed the entire conversation without a single punch thrown. He became the line in the sand, separating spectacle from severity. In doing so, he altered how audiences talk about power, danger, and authenticity. Ngannou didn't end Jake Paul's boxing run with action. He did it with implication. That's a different kind of dominance, and the internet felt it. Public perception of influencer boxing took a hit that didn't fully bruise, but definitely stung. Viewers began asking harder questions about ceilings and consequences. Could the genre continue scaling upward without confronting true heavyweight reality? Or was it always destined to orbit around controlled risk? The debate wasn't academic, it was emotional. Fans who enjoyed the spectacle didn't want to lose it. Purists wanted the experiment to conclude. Both sides agreed on one thing. This moment changed the temperature. Jake's brand, famously adaptable, appeared to pivot in real time. Conversations shifted toward legacy, longevity, and what's next beyond the ring. Those phrases don't signal defeat. They signal transition. But transitions online get interpreted as retreats if they're not announced with fireworks. The absence of a definitive statement left room for speculation to harden into belief. And belief, once formed, becomes the story people repeat even when facts evolve, the commentary world adjusted to, because it always does. Some creators claimed victory laps, saying they predicted this moment years ago. Others softened their stance, acknowledging the complexity of stepping away from danger without conceding weakness. Very few admitted how speculation fueled the fire. The algorithm doesn't incentivize introspection. It incentivizes certainty. So certainty remained loud, even as the truth stayed layered. What lingered most was the lesson, not just for Jake Paul, but for anyone watching. There are opponents you call out for clout, and opponents you don't mention unless you're prepared for consequences. Ngannou represented the end of plausible deniability. You can sell hype against history, but raw power doesn't negotiate. That realization echoed beyond boxing into influencer culture at large, where ambition often outruns risk assessment. The curiosity didn't disappear either. Fans waited for a definitive pivot, a new announcement, a redirected challenge. Would Jake fully exit boxing? Would he return with a recalibrated path? Would this become a footnote or a turning chapter? The uncertainty kept feeds refreshing. In the digital age, unanswered questions are content engines, and this one had premium fuel. As days passed, the initial shock evolved into something more reflective. People recognized how rare it is for an idea, not an event, to shift an entire narrative. No fight happened, no contract leaked. Yet the story felt conclusive in a way only the internet can manufacture. That's the power and danger of collective storytelling. It doesn't need outcomes. It needs consensus. In the end, this chapter closed without a clean ending, but with a clear message. Boxing, even in its influencer era, still has monsters at the gate. You can monetize the path, manage the risk, and bend the rules until you can't. Whether Jake Paul returns to the ring or not, the illusion of infinite control took a hit. And once that illusion cracks, the audience never forgets the sound it made. The story doesn't resolve with a verdict. It resolves with a pause, a breath, a recalculation. The internet will move on, but it won't erase this moment. It'll file it away, ready to pull it back out the next time ambition meets consequence. Because in combat sports, endings don't always come with knockouts. Sometimes they arrive as realizations. If you're still watching, that means this story hit exactly where it was supposed to, right between disbelief and yeah, that actually makes sense. So go ahead and smash that like button like it just told you it was just business after changing the entire conversation. Don't tap it gently. Hit it with conviction, because the algorithm only respects aggression. Drop your take in the comments too, because I already know half of you are arguing about whether this was quitting, calculating, or the smartest pivot in influencer boxing history. Let's hear it. Did Jake Paul read the room and protect his future? Or did Francis Ngannou become the human reality check that ended the experiment? Say it loud in the comments, because this debate isn't going anywhere. And if you're not subscribed yet, fix that immediately. Hit subscribe like it's damage control, because if you miss one upload around here, you'll wake up confused, wondering why everyone's suddenly fighting again. Scandals don't schedule themselves. Boxing drama doesn't wait for official press releases, and this channel stays ready when the story breaks before the statements do. We cover the chaos, cut through the nonsense, and say the quiet part loud with sarcasm, receipts, and zero fear of uncomfortable truths. Turn on notifications so you never miss the next plot twist. Because when the next fight falls apart, the next rumor leaks, or the next career hits a crossroads, you already know where to be. This is Punch Press, where boxing drama hits harder. Then the punches and the story never ends. It just reloads.